In 1912, workmen digging in a gravel pit in Sussex, England, struck something unusual. What they pulled from the soil were pieces of a prehistoric skull. Within months, the scientific community was hailing these bone fragments as a definitive discovery. They believed they had finally found the missing link connecting apes to modern humans. In 1953, forensic tests proved the skull was a forgery. The entire specimen was a man-made puzzle, engineered to mislead the very experts who authenticated it. The true mystery is not the identity of the forger, but how a clumsy fabrication survived decades of scientific scrutiny, bypassing the established protocols of the era. In 1912, Britain was an empire in transition. As its global influence shifted, the nation's scientific establishment sought a definitive discovery to secure its cultural status. A fierce scientific rivalry was playing out across Europe. 50 years after Charles Darwin published his theories, France and Germany were unearthing ancient hominid fossils. Britain, meanwhile, had found nothing. This diagram illustrates the prevailing Victorian hypothesis that early humans would possess a developed braincase paired with a primitive ape-like face. The Piltdown discovery matched this specific profile, while appearing to prove that the first true human was British. The cultural appetite for this narrative was strong enough to bypass standard skepticism. The academic establishment was primed to accept the specimen before the bones were ever tested. Charles Dawson was a country lawyer who lacked the formal education of the academics he courted. He built a reputation by discovering artifacts that filled gaps in the historical record, from Roman tiles to iron figurines that shouldn't exist. Dawson's excavation methodology avoided traditional archaeological oversight. Rather than unearthing fakes from deep geological strata, he planted them in the loose spoil heaps left behind by laborers. Placing the items in loose gravel removed the need to simulate complex geological layers. It also meant anyone walking by could discover the artifacts, making the find appear accidental. Dawson took his grindings to Arthur Smith Woodward, the keeper of the geological department at the Natural History Museum. Woodward's official endorsement gave the finds an immediate sense of unquestionable credibility. This is the reconstructed model Woodward presented to the public. He arranged these sparse, dark bone fragments into a configuration that validated his own theories on human evolution. Dawson's success relied on social engineering. He bypassed scrutiny by providing elite experts with the physical evidence they were already looking for. The Piltdown specimen combined a medieval human skull with the jawbone of a modern orangutan. The perpetrator had deliberately snapped off the connecting joint. This destroyed the specific piece of anatomical evidence that would have shown the two bones did not fit together. The physical alterations were surprisingly basic. The orangutan teeth had been filed down to mimic human chewing wear, and the bone surfaces were painted with chemicals to simulate the coloration of ancient gravels. Basic forensic observation would have revealed the file marks and paint. However, the Natural History Museum protected these bones as sacred relics, keeping them in an archive where independent scientists were rarely permitted to examine them. When outside critics suggested the find was a mixture of human and ape remains, they were dismissed. The scientific establishment trusted the reputation of the discoverers over the skepticism of outsiders. Institutional elitism acted as a shield for the fraud, preventing the scrutiny that would have exposed the fabrication immediately. By 1953, the original generation of scientists involved in the discovery had passed away, and powerful new testing technologies finally became available. Radiocarbon dating and chemical analysis definitively proved the skull was modern. The 40-year delusion collapsed. The academic impact is documented in the archives. Approximately 700 peer-reviewed papers were written on the specimen, representing thousands of hours of research into a set of doctored bones. This 40-year deviation forced researchers to discount genuine fossil discoveries found in other parts of the world, simply because they did not align with a timeline that was entirely fictional. The legacy of the hoax is found in those decades of wasted research and the resulting delay in the understanding of human evolution. Charles Dawson never faced public consequences for his actions. He died in 1916 at the age of 52, decades before the forgery was unmasked. His death certificate recorded a slow demise caused by severe blood poisoning. Dawson spent years working in unventilated spaces, exposing himself to potassium dichromate. He boiled this toxic chemical to stain his fake bones the correct color. The same chemical tools he used to manufacture his academic reputation were the substances that led to his illness. The story of Piltdown Man suggests that intelligence is not a defense against self-deception. It remains a warning that our perception of the truth is often shaped by what we hope to find.